of course, everyone's talking about the ASU strike. Here on Daily Trust, it says, strike, no end in sight as ASU federal government refused to shift grounds. Buhari insists on no work, no pay. No law backs policy, says SAN. Don't pay us and forget 2 sessions. This is the lecturers holding us to ransom on patriotic, and this is the students. Everyone's suffering from this, especially the students. They're the ones suffering from this. NPA generates 172 billion naira in 6 months, remits 78.5 billion naira. Again, Buhari orders security Buhari orders security agencies to eliminate insurgents. Now, this is a sad, it's not a happy laughter, Osage. It's a sad laughter because I find that what's happening is that I don't know if we're listening, if they are listening. We've been getting orders. I just finished taking the top story of ASU. Yeah. And remember when the president ordered the Minister of Education to end the strike in 2 weeks. Now he's ordered again security agencies to eliminate insurgents. How long are we just going to rely on orders that are not actually being implemented?
Well, I'm not even, at this point, I'm not even sure if, these are actual orders from the president or these are just press statements from the presidency and, from his spokespersons. If the president is actually calling, the thing is, when you read a story like that, you always wonder what happens in the FEC meetings, when these people meet every Wednesday. And, he remembers that he gave an order, that this must be sorted out 2 months ago.
People are not being fired. People are not losing their jobs.
Do you ask them for updates? Do you say, okay, I gave you an order and said, that by the end of this month or, whatever, these things must be sorted. Okay, what's the update? So what do they really discuss in, Federal Executive Council meetings?
I mean, we want to see some sort of structure where the president's word is law in that sense. Like he's giving an order, that once the president has said this must be done, you will do it. Because if you do not do it, you will lose your job.
I mean, as long as
within the confines of democracy and the rule of law, of course. But we're just seeing orders upon orders in terms of security and education. And it's making a lot of Nigerians wonder what really is happening and what is the effect of a word by the president. Let's move on. 3 arrested, 20 corpses recovered in Edo Shrine. Wow. Atiku Wike's feud. IU's refusal to step down stalls peace move. This is, of course, referring to the drama in the PDP. Federal government spends 18.4 billion naira on petrol subsidy daily, and this is according to the finance minister. Final story here: 8 feared dead in Lagos church stampede. That's very sad. And we know that the Daily Trust will keep up the updates, counting up how many days the Bethel Baptist High School Kujama students have been in captivity, and now it's come up to 411 days. That's all that we can take on the Daily Trust.
All right, still here in Nigeria. Let's see what we can find on the Nation newspapers this morning. It says federal government insists on no work, no pay. Of course, no work, no pay rule for varsity workers. Government and ASU differ on salaries, payment platforms, students to sue teachers and ministers. It's getting interesting. Also, e-Naira becomes dollar-enabled next week. We can also find on the Nation 7-man caretaker body to run Osun PDP. And also Lagos extends Okada ban to 4 more councils. That's on page 30 of the Nation newspapers. $418 million Paris Club refund. Our case against Malami, that's by the governors, on page 28. PDP BOT chair Jibrin cautions Atiku and Wike camps. And we can also find on the Nation this morning, government weighs options on petrol subsidy cash. Daily payment hits 18.69 billion naira. Landing cost per litre now 448 naira. And also Tinubu Shettima ticket best for Nigeria now, says APC chair. And he also speaks on what transpired during Obasanjo APC candidate parley. Finally, security. Tompolo wins multi-million-dollar pipeline contract. Interesting. That's on the Nation newspapers this morning, and these are the stories that we can share from the Nation.
Now let's head to Kenya, where, of course, everyone is talking about the elections. Raila versus Ruto, the case files. Supreme battle. The Azimio coalition is working on a broad 3-pronged strategy to contest the declaration by Wafula Chebukati of William Ruto as president-elect. In the grand scheme of things, the arguments will all come down to what the Raila team believes are inconsistencies in IEBC's vote figures, declared turnout numbers, and the undeclared skeletons in the falling out in the commission. In the coming days, we're going to see a lot more drama unfold. Details of this is on page 2 and 3. Uhuru promises to lead a smooth power handover. And at the top of the paper, we have extend school term or reduce fees. Parents petition Magoha. The pain of lost expenditure. And the final story here, weak shilling adds $500 billion to debt-backed currency currency has devalued by 9.3. Wow. And that's all the detail that we have this morning on the Daily Nation in Kenya.
All right, let's go to Tanzania now and see what we can find on the Citizen newspapers. Pretty interesting ones, I believe. It says here, SADC protests new U.S. law on Africa-Russia relations. It says the bloc expresses its dissatisfaction with the continent being targeted for unilateral and punitive measures through the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act, which was passed recently by the United States House of Representatives. You can read more on that on page 2. I think I'm definitely going to check that out. Also, e-ticketing, the clock is ticking for bus operators. That's on page 2 also. Government AFDB signed 175 billion shillings agreement to finance agricultural inputs project. And also, pretty sad one here, it says, nearly 60 killed in road accidents within a week, on page 3 of the Citizen newspapers. Top of the screen, national launch, new projects seeks to curb violence against women. I like that. That's on page 4. And of course, in business and real estate, new deal on low-cost housing unveiled on page 8 of the Citizen newspapers.